While the world was distracted by elections, political crises, and celebrity scandals, a quiet revolution was underway. One that didn't scream in the headlines, but roared in concrete, steel, and millions of tons of excavated rock. These weren't promises or speeches. These were real tunnels, real rails, real energy. And each structure that was built seemed to shout to the future, "We're getting there first." By the end of 2025, the world will witness the completion of one of the most ambitious plans in recent history, the 14th Five-Year Plan. A development cycle that has allocated more than $1.3 trillion to infrastructure, not in a war-torn country, but in an already established power that wants to go further, much further. Behind each line of investment, three clear ideas: protecting domestic supply chains, mastering the clean energy transition, and connecting the hinterland to global routes. This is not just physical engineering, but strategic engineering. It's not just about building, it's about shaping the century. And we're not talking about renovations or small advances. We're talking about excavations thousands of meters above sea level, underwater tunnels that defy physics, canals built where there used to be only mountains, thousands of people working at the same time in remote locations, enduring heat, altitude, and relentless deadlines. As if they were building not for the present, but for a tomorrow that no one else has the courage to imagine. There are no parties, no fireworks, but the pace is constant, deafening, almost relentless. As if an ancient empire had woken up and decided it was time to reshape its skin once again. Only this time, not with walls, but with fiber optics, high-speed railways, and entire valleys dedicated to data storage. The works are not just in one city or region. They extend for thousands of kilometers, connecting the most isolated hinterlands to commercial centers, mountainous regions to the most strategic ports. Each project seems like a piece of a gigantic puzzle, a puzzle that, once completed, changes the balance of the world. What is impressive is not just its grandeur, it is the silence. While other nations debate how to keep their systems functioning, here, new realities are being designed with bulldozers, dynamite, and artificial intelligence. It is as if a new era were dawning and most of the planet was still asleep. At the center of this transformation, a new kind of power. The power to build on a large scale, with speed, precision, and purpose. Not to impress, but to dominate. Because those who build the future command the present. And that is just the beginning. Some projects are born out of necessity, others out of ambition. But the Pinglu Canal was born out of something even rarer: the ability to dream big and execute even bigger. A structure so monumental that, for over 1,000 years, no one dared even attempt anything like it. The last time a canal of this size was built in the region, the world was still ruled by emperors of the Sui dynasty. Centuries passed, empires fell, kingdoms changed their names, the world turned countless times. But now, in the heart of the 21st century, 35,000 men and women, armed with modern tools and often with brute force alone, are working day and night to resurrect this forgotten artery of geography. The Pinglu Canal is more than just a waterway. It is an engineering colossus. It will be 134.2 kilometers of water cutting through the south of the country, connecting the Xiang River system to the Beibu Gulf in the South Sea. And it is not just a shallow canal. It was designed to accommodate ships of up to 5,000 tons. This means that it will be able to transport up to 100 million tons per year. An open vein for trade, flowing agricultural, industrial, and strategic production directly to the coast. But what makes this work even more impressive is not just its numbers. It is the way in which it is being built, largely by hand. Yes, At the height of the age of robotics and artificial intelligence, thousands of workers dig, load, and shape this giant with their own hands. Some in rugged terrain, others in heavy rain, many away from home for months on end. Among the most daunting challenges are the 3 colossal locks that will allow the vessels to negotiate brutal elevation changes in the terrain. Each of these structures required meticulous engineering calculations, testing, reinforcement, and a level of precision that defies even international standards. It is as if each lock were, in itself, a masterpiece of engineering. The cost? Estimated at over $10 billion. But for those who observe closely, it is clear that the value invested goes far beyond the financial. The canal represents logistical autonomy, a corridor of sovereignty. It reduces dependence on vulnerable sea routes and offers a robust, safe, and constant internal alternative. Today, the work is 80% complete. The schedule is strictly on track. The inauguration is scheduled for the end of 2025. But for many of the workers who sleep in makeshift accommodations on the edge of the excavations, the delivery has already begun. Each day of work, each meter advanced, is a silent cry saying, "We are building something that no one else would have the courage to attempt." And if the past taught that this canal was possible once, the present shows that it will now be eternal. Between 2 cities separated by just 116 kilometers, one of the most daring projects of the century was born. At first glance, it may seem like a small project. Little time, little distance, little impact. But this railway has something no other has. It crosses the impossible. To connect Shenzhen to Jiangmen, engineers had to face the Pearl River estuary, one of the most urbanized and challenging areas on the planet. Instead of bridges or long detours, the decision was clear, direct, and audacious: to dig underneath. And so the Shijiang Tunnel was born, a colossal 13-kilometer-long tube, submerged beneath the turbulent waters of the delta. Not just a tunnel, but a testament to the human capacity to overcome the abyss. The high-speed railway that passes through there is a vital part of the integration of the so-called Greater Bay Area, an economic megapole that brings together 11 cities, including Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and Macau. More than shortening distances, it speeds up time. The journey that used to take 2 hours will now be completed in just 30 minutes. And with trains cutting through the air at 350 kilometers per hour, each journey becomes a silent affirmation that the future is already here, and it waits for no one. But what's impressive is not just the speed, it's what's behind it. The complexity of crossing the bottom of an estuary requires cutting-edge technology, real-time sensors, structures capable of withstanding violent pressures, geological instabilities, and subtle tectonic movements. Every millimeter dug under the river has been mapped, monitored, and reassessed dozens of times, as if the land were being persuaded, not conquered. The cost of the project exceeds $5.6 billion. But in this case, the money is not just spent. It is invested in the idea of a territory connected from within, no longer dependent on air routes or surface traffic congestion. It's an infrastructure that escapes the common view, but completely transforms the experience of those who live there. Today, the tunnel is already complete. The final phase of systems integration is advancing with surgical precision. Safety tests are in their final stages. The official launch, also scheduled for the end of 2025. Every detail points to a new era of mobility, where the underground becomes the expressway for progress. And while many countries are still debating whether to invest in new lines or renovate old ones, here, the decisions have already been made, and the excavators have already become history, because there are places where people wait, and there are places where they move forward, where the impossible becomes a path, and the path becomes power. While the world debates how to balance economic growth with sustainability, a quiet movement is moving forward away from the spotlight. Two projects that together could rewrite the future of energy and technology. One on top of a mountain, the other deep in a valley. Both with a single goal: to control the pulse of tomorrow. In the heart of the mountains of Hunan stands the Luxi Pumped Storage Power Plant. At first glance, it looks like just another hydroelectric plant. But this is no ordinary plant. It is a colossal battery, a 3.6 gigawatt structure, more power than the legendary Hoover Dam. But unlike traditional hydroelectric plants, Luxi does not depend on mighty rivers. It pumps water upwards during times of low demand and releases it to generate electricity during peak times. A system that is simple in concept, but monumental in scale. With an investment of $4.8 billion, this plant was built to anchor the energy future. It's estimated to generate 6.6 billion kilowatt hours a year, enough energy to power 4.5 million homes. But the real impact isn't in quantity, it's in stability. Luxi was built to absorb the jolts of renewable sources like solar and wind, ensuring that the grid never collapses when the sun goes down or the wind stops blowing. It's an invisible bulwark against energy chaos and a step forward in the global race for electrical independence. But electricity alone doesn't power the 21st century. What does is data. Hundreds of miles away, on the slopes of the Guizhou Mountains, a new kind of valley is emerging. Guiyang's Big Data Valley. An ecosystem of servers, fiber optics, and artificial intelligence built not just to store information, but to process the future in real time. More than 4 million servers are already under construction. Giants like Alibaba, Tencent, and Huawei have set up shop here. Guiyang is not just a technology hub, it's a geopolitical gamble. With over $7 billion invested, the goal is clear: to transform the region into a direct rival to Silicon Valley. It's not just about innovation, it's about sovereignty, about creating local algorithms, autonomous systems, secure networks. A city where blockchain, cloud computing, and smart cities are not just ideas, but working reality. Both projects have something in common. They were not built to impress tourists. They were built to last, to sustain, to dominate. While other nations are still debating how to reduce their dependence on fossil fuels, here, a gravity battery is already being activated. While governments debate the ethics of AI, here, billions of data are already being analyzed by self-learning systems. It's as if time has accelerated, and these places are already living in the year 2035. But none of this is in the news. There are no headlines, just silence, and servers humming. Some projects impress with their size, others with their innovation. But there is a third type, those that challenge the very logic of human existence. The Sichuan Tibet Railway belongs to this last category. And when you get to know it, you understand that this is not just a line on rails. It is a line drawn in the sky and on the geopolitical chessboard of the world. It is 1,900 kilometers long. A journey that used to take days can now be made in just 13 hours. But time is almost irrelevant here. What really matters is the route. The railway passes through regions where the altitude exceeds 3,000 meters, places where oxygen is rare, mountains collapse without warning, and winds change direction in seconds. Nature itself seems to resist the idea of a train cutting through these heights. But even so, it will come. The most brutal part of the route, between Yan and Ningqi, is considered one of the greatest engineering challenges ever faced. The 42-kilometer Yigong Tunnel is a monster dug into the heart of geological instability. Soft ground, seismic faults, constant risk of landslides. A miscalculation here could cost hundreds of lives. And yet, they continue. The total budget exceeds $44 billion. Not out of luxury, but out of necessity. This railway is not just a means of transport, it is a gesture, a strategic statement in a geographically sensitive region. It connects Chengdu, a dynamic metropolis, to the mystical and geopolitical Lhasa, capital of Tibet, an area close to the border with India, where silent tensions have been bubbling for decades. It is not a coincidence, it is a purpose. The delivery of the most dangerous section is scheduled for the end of 2025. When the tracks finally meet, it will be the end of an era of isolation for that region, and the beginning of something new, something bigger. But this is where the story changes tone, because when you look at all this, the monumental canal, the underwater railway, the gravity plant, the valley of artificial intelligence, and the skyline, an inevitable question arises. A question that weighs like lead on the chest of any leader, manager, or attentive citizen. If they are building all this, what is your country doing? While millions of tons of concrete and steel silently shape the future, how many nations still live in the past, discussing reforms that never come, waiting for solutions that never come? This is not just a race for technology. It's a race for relevance, and whoever isn't in it has already lost. The date is not symbolic. The year 2025 will mark the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new paradigm. And perhaps, when the tracks are inaugurated, the world will finally wake up to what has been before its eyes all along. But then, it may be too late. If this story impacted you in any way, if it made you think about what is being built while the world sleeps, then watch the video now. It shows that you value deep, strategic, and real content. Leave your comment. What is your country building for the future? Your opinion is essential for this conversation to continue. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, we reveal what almost no one is showing. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.